Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. And what we have this time is the Moritaka Aogami Super Yanagiba 270mm knife. So this knife line uses a core hard cutting edge steel of Aogami Blue Paper Super reactive high carbon steel. Heat treat, they take it pretty high. So they take it to 65 Rockwell, which is in the upper end of this steel, and what that does is give it excellent edge retention at a little bit of a trade-off for edge durability. So you've got to be a little careful with this. It's a little bit more prone to chipping, but if you do your part, it'll give you awesome edge retention. The construction has 3 layers, and on either side of that hard reactive core cutting edge steel, you've got a soft iron reactive cladding. This cladding has Kura-uchi or blacksmith protective finish on it, and you can kind of see here, it's a little hard to tell. Yeah, this one's easier. You can see where the cladding comes away and the core steel shows as it gets ground down towards the edge. The weights and dimensions on these will vary a little bit from knife to knife, and this particular one is 152 grams or 5.4 ounces. The edge length is about 272, which is 10.7 inches, and the overall length is about almost 17 inches. Spine thicknesses can vary, of course. This particular one, these tend to be a little thicker coming out of the handle, and so this one's about 3.5 millimeters thick coming out of the handle, and then when you get about halfway down the blade, I measured about 2.4, and these types of knives don't necessarily thin up a ton as you get towards the tip, but as you can see where the grind kicks in right here, the tip thins up. And we'll also show you the choil shot as well. The handles, actually height, let's see, they're about 36.2 millimeters on this one, so about 36 millimeters. And they've got a pretty thin neck on it, so you've got, some clearance there. Not that you do a lot of board work with these necessarily. The handle is a ambidextrous octagonal, what they call hoe wood or magnolia wood with a buffalo horn ferrule. And they usually do a pretty good job gluing these up. You always want to check your entrance into the handle here where the tang goes in and just make sure there's no gaps there. If there are, you can seal it up with a particular sealant of your choice to keep moisture out of there. The diameter, I should say the circumference of this is about 68 millimeters right before the wood hits the buffalo horn for a standard spot where I measure handle sizes. And you will notice on all the Moritaka knives that they use, you've got a color change as you get towards the tang. So what they do is they weld a stainless steel tang onto the blade, which is really nice because it gives you a more corrosion resistant tang inside of that handle. The balance point on this, it doesn't matter quite so much for these types of knives, but balance point is right about there. Again, it's got a nice pinch grip on it. Let's see, let's get our, it's a long knife, but we'll get our beauty shot here. Make sure our camera's picking that up. There we go. So you can see they have embossed kanji on the left side of the blade. You can see kind of a horizontal finish on it. And there's your demarcation between the cladding and the core steel. I don't know if it's really changed much. I've got a knife that's about 4 or 5 years old. They're not known, Moritaka is not known for the durability of their Kura-uchi or KU finish. So if it does start to wear away a little quicker than you might expect, that's just one of the characteristics they may still be prone to. Not a big deal. It'll just, well, here's kind of an area if that started to wear away. It'll just patina along with the rest of the knife. But there's the left side of the blade. And these will all be a little bit unique. The sides are pretty smooth, but you can see that kind of horizontal finish strokes on it. What else here? I'd say sharpness, about out of the box edge is about 6 out of 10 on these. And the other kind of significant feature of these is that they are double bevel. So I guess I'll show this again from the other side. Get the camera to focus in there. But these are double bevel knives, so they're ambidextrous. And unlike a lot of this style of blade that might be single bevel for right-handers or less often left-handers. These are double bevel, so it can be used by either lefties or righties. I'm a lefty, so that's kind of cool for me. The blade actually has got a fair amount of stiffness to it when you feel it, given the thickness of it as you go down the blade. And I don't really, well, let me do a cutting board. Some people use these just in a pinch or even not in a pinch for just some board work. So let's take a look at it in case you might happen to want to drag it out for some board work to multitask it. This particular one has a lot of flat in the back half. And I can, I'm not really rocking, but hey, it's not a, it's a slicing knife. But that's what the edge profile looks like on this particular one. So these are nicely made. They've got really excellent steel. It's a bit hard, so you just have to kind of keep that in mind when you use them. And if you have problems with chipping on the edge out of the box, I suggest running it through a sharpening progression and reveal some fresh steel. And if you do a nice job sharpening it, a lot of people find that sometimes that increases the robustness of that edge. It's not uncommon, actually. So there we have the Moritaka Aogami Super Yanagiba 270mm knife.